From the shadows of the cyberpunks, Satoshi gave birth to a new dawn. Satoshi with his vision, decentralization and proof of one, Bitcoin was born. You feel the shift beneath your feet. Peer to peer, we break the blockchain, we meet. Trust in code, not in the same. We are all Satoshi, this is what we've all been waiting for. Together we trust, together we hold. One block, one chain, tick-tock, next block. Every 10 minutes, Bitcoin, the path we made. Together we build, together we grow. We are all Satoshi, we are Bitcoin. This system's alive and we won't let go. And we won't let go. La-da-dee, la-da-da. Hey-ya, hey-ya, ooh-ah, ooh-ah. And we won't let go. Together we trust, together we hold. One block, one chain. Tick-tock, next block, every 10 minutes. Bitcoin, the path we've made. Whoa, the path we've made. Together we build, together we grow. We are all Satoshi and we are Bitcoin. Bitcoin, this system's alive and we won't let go. And we won't let go. From the shadows of the cyberpunks, Satoshi gave birth to a new dawn. He gave birth to a new dawn. Birth to a new dawn. From the shadows of the cyberpunks, Satoshi gave birth to a new dawn. Satoshi with his vision, decentralization and proof of one, Bitcoin was born. You feel the shift beneath your feet. Peer to peer, we break the blockchain, we meet. Trust in code, not in the same. We are all Satoshi, this is what we've all been waiting for. Together we trust, together we hold. One block, one chain, tick-tock, next block. Every 10 minutes, Bitcoin, the path we made. Together we build, together we grow. We are all Satoshi, we are Bitcoin. This system's alive and we won't let go. And we won't let go. La-da-dee, la-da-da. Hey-ya, hey-ya, ooh-ah, ooh-ah. And we won't let go. Together we trust, together we hold. One block, one chain. Tick-tock, next block, every 10 minutes. Bitcoin, the path we've made. Whoa, the path we've made. Together we build, together we grow. We are all Satoshi and we are Bitcoin. Bitcoin, this system's alive and we won't let go. And we won't let go. From the shadows of the cyberpunks, Satoshi gave birth to a new dawn. He Give birth to a new dawn. Birth to a new dawn. From the shadows of the cyberpunks, Satoshi gave birth to a new dawn. Satoshi with his vision, decentralization, and proof of one, Bitcoin was born. You feel the shift beneath your feet. Peer to peer, we break the blockchain, we meet. Trust in code, not in the same. We are all Satoshi, this is what we've all been waiting for. Together we trust, together we hold. One block, one chain, tick-tock, next block. Every 10 minutes, Bitcoin the path we made. Together we build, together we grow. We are all Satoshi, we are Bitcoin. This system's alive and we won't let go. Hey, we won't let go. La-da-dee, la-da-da. Hey, yeah, hey, yeah. Ooh, ah, ooh, ah. And we won't let go. Together we trust, together we hold. One block, one chain. Tick-tock, next block, every 10 minutes. Bitcoin, the path we've made. Whoa, the path we've made. Together we build, together we grow. We are all Satoshi and we are Bitcoin. Bitcoin, this system's alive and we won't let go. Hey, and we won't let go. From the shadows of the cyberpunks, Satoshi gave birth to a new dawn. He gave birth to a new dawn. Birth to a new dawn.
Hello everyone, we are back again in English talking about Bitcoin treasury companies and all the things that are happening in Bitcoin environment. Last week we were near to death. Strategy was under 100. On Friday touched around 82. Stretch was under the water, but Sailor came back with a plan on Monday. He announced the digital credit. I don't remember the title, but the fancy title that we are going to analyze in this episode. And suddenly it came back to not to normal, but at least stop bleeding. Here I am back in Hong Kong with Immortal. How are you doing?
Hello, guys. Good to be back with Marco to hide some lights into what happened with strategy this week. Can we call it the worst week of the last 3 years?
No, I will call it.
Yeah.
First of all, let me introduce Marco. How are you doing?
Hey guys, yeah, I'm doing great despite the tough, I would say, months now in Bitcoin and even more so for the treasury space. But yes, I think future is brighter, and I'm really excited for this conversation today.
Yeah, I think that I would say, starting, we can discuss about that. I think this was the worst week since Michael Saylor started his Bitcoin treasury strategy. Even though in 2022 there were tougher moments because their debt was 130% of the Bitcoin value or the company value. Now we know that the debt is really healthy, but I think that he suffered a lot of attacks from all the different communities, from the gold bugs, from the traditional finance, and from inside the Bitcoin community. And now, as strategy is much bigger than at that time, I think that the FUD spread faster. So I think that, of course, in numbers, was not the worst week since started the Bitcoin treasury strategy, but in sentiments, I think it was the worst. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, I agree. I would say that in terms of worst days or worst week, for sure in 2022, the situation was much, much bleak, much, much more complicated than the one we saw today. I wasn't a shareholder back then, but from the stories and from the data that you can see, from charts, from all the news that I remember reading in 2022 about strategy, I think the data and all the business model was even more under pressure. But I agree with you. Today, the amplification of the strategy message, the amount of shareholders that they have, Saylor has become probably the most important voice in Bitcoin. So again, after these 4 years, the sentiment is much, much worse, and the effect about strategy is much, much bigger. So yeah, I would agree that in terms of panic, in terms of sentiment, for sure this is worse, and it affected many more people. But from a fundamental and technical and data points, I would say that is not that bad compared to 2022 bottom and what they experienced back then. So, but yeah, I agree, Fernando, with your take that today is very hard. It was very hard to, especially for retails.
There is more media attack than back then, while the company remains a lot stronger than back in the days. So that what it tells us is the power of marketing, the power of communication and social media, because they can change the narrative so easily, even without real arguments. You can just create any narrative you want based on some truth, based on a lie, based on a little truth, on whatever you can build up any sentiment. And that's exactly what happened with strategy. Compared both bear markets in 2022 and right now, the company is way, way stronger. And still the sentiment about the strategy is way lower. So how can you explain that other than it just being a fad creation around it? So even one thing that I remember from the balance sheet is because most of the discussion is about the debt and how they handle the debt, if they take the money that it was supposed to be used for the dividends to pay the debt, that might create a complex situation why the investors start selling off. I don't think so. I don't think that was the thing. It was mostly about the fact. And just one thought experiment is this one. Strategy now holds around 147K Bitcoins. If they would sell 100K Bitcoin, let's say Saylor decided to sell 100K Bitcoin, they will still have 740 something, which is way, way bigger than anybody else in the market. So it's still very strong. But use that money, that cash, to pay back all the convertible bonds and still having extra cash for the dividends. So the company will go in credit terms, it will be way, way stronger than right now.
Yeah.
Even with 100K Bitcoin less.
Yeah, we'll go like Strive, but with like 50x more Bitcoin.
Right, exactly. So in terms of the analysis of the true balance sheet perspective from the math, selling 100,000 Bitcoin will make them so much stronger than right now. But at the same time, it will create so much fat around
Yeah.
it that it will probably destroy MSTR stock price. Right, but at the end of the day,
Yeah.
we have to follow the real thing, which is in the long term, the company will move forward through a strong balance sheet, through real maths, not through the fact. So that's my bottom line.
Yeah, I think that they, of course, what happened was like the perfect storm. Sailor sold a huge amount of Bitcoin, like 32. They paid the dividend. They paid, sorry, the debt. That was an amazing move. They paid the debt with 150 million US dollars in discount. So they had to pay 100 something, 1 billion something, and they saved 150 million in the debt payment. But at the same time, Bitcoin started going down. So when Bitcoin goes down, we know that strategy goes down even faster. So I think that this planet alignment was what causes this kind of crash of strategy. But the fundamentals didn't change. And as Diego said, if he takes 100K Bitcoin, sells them, and pay the whole debt, of course, it's going to trigger a huge crisis on the price of a strategy. But at the end of the day, he will get rid of debt. And I say, now what are you going to say? With the margin call and all the crap that they are talking about. And the other thing that I saw in the community on X and probably in the mainstream media is even worse, the ignorance of the people, the ignorance of the analysts, that they don't understand how does it work, how analyze strategy, so they sell rotten fish to people. That's the thing.
As always, and probably
It's
will
like,
always be.
but I think that in this time they don't even understand. They are trying to measure hate, measure the distance with a scale. So that's the thing. They don't understand how it works. And of course, this spread the fat faster.
Yeah, but again, especially, I'm really happy that every time strategy face this kind of massive attacks, panic, etc., the company remains very solid. The company remain very focused. They, as soon as they see that is max pain in the market from the shareholder, from STRC now, that is the most important product, they are very proactive. And I think now, I mean, we can start discussing the plan that they released. And actually, I think it's another framework. The haters would say, yeah, also last time they released a framework and they didn't respect. I mean, fair, because if you remember, guys, strategy put it out like the framework about the MNAV, and then they kind of, you need to read between the lines. It was not very clear. Okay. Then they said about the USD reserve, and also they use the USD reserve for repaying back the convertible debt. But I think this framework is very clear that they want to stick to it, because now there is the board approval. So it started to become much more profound. It's not just a framework per se. It's more a way of chain of operation inside the company. And when you see that you need to have the board of approval, the approval from the board for a specific decision, now shareholders and also the market, it takes much more seriously these documents. So I don't know, guys, if we want to discuss, but I think it was very important, given the time, given the moment, to put outside a framework for how to use the ATMs, repurchase back of MSTR, how to do with BTC, and all the other things that they disclosed.
I think it only happens because we were in a crisis. In the middle of a bull run, this will not even be a topic. But anyways, like the market demanded some kind of reaction or comment or adjustment. And that's what the strategy gives them. Just a clear new framework with 5 elements that are very clear. Being, I think, the most reactive one or the most powerful one is the ability to buy back MSTR and stretch, and actually the other preferred stocks too. So do you think they actually use that instrument this week? Because we saw yesterday a very little reaction from Bitcoin up, like 0.51%, while in 2 days, strategy moved up 8% plus 8%. So do you think it's just a pure market reaction to the good news, or it was the result of some kind of buyback already starting?
My personal view is that it's just the market reacting, saying that now the company had in place this, this program up to 1 billion to repurchase back MSTR, doing the, common buyback strategies that I would say majority of company publicly listed do. And I think it's just market reaction. I don't think strategy is already doing it in the open market. I think it's more the market reaction, say, okay, the company is saying us that they see that both the preferreds and the common to be undervalued. So maybe the market wanted to adjust and say, okay, maybe all the short seller, all the short pressure is a bit, alleviated, is a bit off. And maybe some people rotate because they know that now the company is willing to defend MSTR and defend stretch. So I would be surprised to see already the company buying back, 500 million of MSTR. I think it's more a market dynamics. But for sure, over the next 6 to 12 months, if the company still see their own securities very undervalued, now they have the program and they will buy them back. Maybe by selling some portion of Bitcoin, maybe by raising capital from other instruments that they deem at par or anyway at a good valuation. But yeah, I think it's a very good move to say to the short seller that now they are actively open to buy back themselves.
Yeah, now that you were start talking about the short sellers, it reminds me this tweet from Matt Cole. Very interesting. Let's read it. We are asking for market feedback because short interest in SATA increased by 1 million shares over the past 30 days, and borrow costs are currently 70% APR. Targeting 100 remains the objective, but some investors appear to believe Strive will always issue new SATA shares at 100, creating effective cap. Retaining issuance flexibility makes shorting SATA more risky and expensive, which might increase short-term volatility but reduce long-term volatility. So what he's saying here is something that I haven't seen think about before, but it makes total sense, right? Which is there is not only short sellers on MSTR and Stripe, but there is also short sellers of the preferred stocks, Stretch and SATA, which actually, thinking backwards, it makes sense, right? Because if you short sell at the 100, you know
100 is
it will
perfect.
never go wrong against you.
Yeah.
So it's as stupid as that, but why we never thought about it? Yeah. So what was happening in the previous weeks is when the price of SATA or Stretch go to 100.01, they immediately issue shares, so they get the cash and the price goes back to 100. So it was never going up above 101 or 05, something like that. So that's the perfect trade for the short sellers. Even though for the action of short selling this, they will have to pay, he say, around 70% cost for the short position. So somehow they still make it profitable, because if they are pushing so hard on that, there is a way, a mechanism, some kind of carry trade or some kind of trading that makes that trade profitable for them. But the point being is, what if we just let it ride and we don't start selling shares at 100.01? We maybe let it run to 102, 105.
Yeah.
So that way you prevent short selling from these stocks. So it's a very interesting idea. What do you think?
Yeah, and you also keep some more flexibility, because again, imagine that the market is telling you that you can issue as much share. Maybe it happened as well for Stretch. you remember these couple of months in which strategy, STRC went back to 100, and we see like thousands of Bitcoin acquisition every day. We are celebrating because they are buying Bitcoin. But imagine if you are kind of forcing yourself to buy every time, and it happens for months, it might happen that Stretch or SETA grow way too fast and way too much, so that then maybe you need to readjust your collateral base. So maybe it can be some kind of dynamics. And I think this post actually is very smart, because they say, look, the instruments were new. That's how we intended to design them, but don't take by 100% sure that from now on we will issue at every time above 100. I think it's very smart from Matt Cole, and probably also by strategy soon to do the same, because you will try to cut also on the other side the short seller. So you give less information, less certain information to the counterparties, and you retain some sort of flexibility to decide if you want to do it or not. It's not an imposition, but now it's uncertainty to the market. So everybody needs to be more alert. Everybody needs to be less confident that when it's back to 100, I can short it again. So I think it's healthy what they posted.
Yeah, also the point where if you are too transparent with all your features, then you create maybe some negative effects. So at some point, this is when keeping for yourself some kind of information, it's an advantage.
Yeah. And to be honest, these products are new. So again, they designed them. They had maybe some ideas how the market might react. After 1 year, they have a lot of data, a lot of information, a lot of behaviors. And so I think it's normal for them to try to adjust on the margin some situations. So I think it makes total sense. I think it's more on the favor of the issuer, because again, they issue those instruments. And if they can just adjust something in their own favor, I think it's much better. And again, it removes a negative behavior that hedge fund or other big firm can target, and I think it's very positive. But again, maybe this type of information needs to happen when you have panic, when you have very stress test. I think those instruments have been stress tested. The companies are very proactive. They see data constantly. They understand the market behavior, and now they will adjust. So every crash or every panic, they came out with better resolution. So I think over time, those instruments will work much more in line with the expectation of the company.
Yes, and let's go with the points that strategy announced digital credit capital framework. So it has 5 points. The first one is USD reserve policy. So they increased what I was saying last week, that probably the big drop on the price of MSTR was because Sailor was selling. They were using the ATM to increase the USD reserve policy. They announced that they have now 2.55 billion, approximately 17.4 months of coverage. And the good thing is that they said that they will never send the cash reserve below 12 months, of payment. And they can create extra 1.25 billion selling Bitcoin. What do you think about this point?
I think that's what the market was requesting them. As Bitcoiner, we don't like cash, but we need to understand that majority of investors, especially on the preferred side, they want to have certainty about their own dividend payment. So again, if now strategy best product is Stretch, they need to create the environment so that this product can thrive. And I think the policy on the USD reserve is very on point. And again, putting the board approval is very important, so that everybody knows that the 12 months is an hard limit, and probably they will never go below it unless a catastrophe, but probably it will never happen. So I think it's positive to calm the market.
Yeah, no, it's good to put a cap below 12 months. It's psychological, like you say. 18 months, it's an actual study, an actual model which tests what was the longest bear market? It was 18 months or so. So these points are correct. The third point I was thinking is it needed to put a cap on the way up? Like, because I was thinking, what if they would just decide to put 10 billion in cash reserves? On one side, they will make these investors that actually value the fact that the company have cash already. But on the other hand, with the Bitcoiners, it's killing our main point, which is you are creating a new melting ice cube for no reason.
No.
For me particularly, I don't even think the 18 months is necessary. Any cash reserve would be necessary. But if we compromise on, okay, let's show them something, but the something has also a cap on the top. Otherwise, we will break even our main ethos that we are not holding cash because we don't want that melting ice cube. We want Bitcoin exactly for the opposite of holding reserves, USD reserves.
The problem, I think that what Sailor is doing with this digital credit framework is taking notice on what do the other investors want. Because if you want he's thinking as a Bitcoiner, but also he needs to think that to bring more money to Stretch, to MSTR, and all the other preferred shares, people who go there, or investors who go there, what do they want? They want, first of all, get paid every 15 days. Second, the instrument, the price of the instrument near par, because if I need a cash, I can cash out without losing money. So that's why I think that Sailor is thinking about that. He's not thinking like, okay, I need to accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible and never sell, as Danny and all the other morons ask him, because even though from the Bitcoin community he gets critics, I think he needs to work as a CEO for the best interest of the people who are investing in their products, shareholders, and people who are investing in the preferred. Of course, I would say I would love to, because again, if I was a Bitcoiner, I was saying, oh, what should I do last week if I were Sailor? I would have used all the cash of the cash reserve and buy Bitcoin. So, but of course, the people who are investing in Stretch, we say, okay, we don't have money to get the payment that pay the dividends. So I think that he's trying to find a balance, but I think that, of course, we will never go to a reserve of.
Yeah, they don't want the reserve. Neither Fong, neither Sailor want a reserve. They just create this reserve to calm the market and to try to increase the credit quality of those instruments. So my view is maximum will be around 18 months, possibly around 12, probably never below 12 unless something catastrophic. But it's just for calming the market and say, guys, we have long cash so that you can stay calm for 12, 18 months without bothering me. But he doesn't want, for sure, more than 18 months.
Yes, the other point was they increased the dividend to 12%. I think that we all know that they were going to do it. Yeah. Because
that was the most obvious point. It was already established by the previous framework. Yeah. So, yeah, the thing is, how will the market adjust to that? Because there are a couple of variables. One is, well, now it's much closer to SATA. So will these two compete exactly at the same level at some point? Because SATA now is performing a little bit better because it's a lighter instrument. So yesterday they touched 98 and close at 97 something, while the Stretch is still below 90.
Below 90.
So it means SATA is behaving better. We don't know if it is because of the daily dividends or because of the 13% or because a combination of both things.
Yeah, I think, again, SATA actually is the best possible outcome. They have the best balance sheet with zero debt. They are much smaller. they have higher interest rate, and they have daily. Stretch, so strategy has convertible debt, as some, capital structure is not as clean as Strive, lower interest rate. So again, and by monthly. So again, I think Stretch might increase in quality a bit over time. It takes more time because again, it's much bigger company, the issuer, and much bigger the volumes. I think SETA is performing better because of the reason you said, Diego. But over the next months, if strategy keeps refining it, keeps polishing the instrument, and try to get rid of the convertible debt, there is no reason why it shouldn't perform as good as SETA, in my view. Actually, it should perform better because the collateral is much, much bigger and strategy is much bigger player. So,
yeah, and the cash reserve, even though they hold the same amount, around 18 months in USD reserve, the amount of Bitcoin reserves for strategy is 30 years, while for SATA is around 15. So you can say strategy balance sheet is twice stronger, at least in terms of the backbone,
Bitcoin.
right? The amount of Bitcoin.
Yeah, then we have the Digital Credit Securities Repurchase Program. They get an approval for $1 billion to purchase the credit securities like Stretch, Strive, Stride, and Strike. So again, this is also
no stream, Fernando.
No, Stretch, Strive, Stride, and Strike.
Okay, so no stream, which was the European. I think I'm not even sure it's tradable for retail in Europe. To be honest, I think it was not really a great success. But yeah, for you guys, it's better if they eventually retire, I don't know, 25 or 30% of Stretch, 10% of STRK, or they just maybe go and retire fully one instrument.
I think what's going to happen is they're going to wait until the next bull run when we're on one of these crazy leg ups to maybe 200, 300K. And there is so much Bitcoin, and we are clearly in a bull run. He will sell a big chunk to clear all the unused
and to
preferred
give
stock,
boost.
preferred stock plus the convertible in one shot. It might take probably less than 100,000 Bitcoin. The example I put now is 100,000 Bitcoin at 60K. But imagine if you are able to sell 100,000 Bitcoin at 200K. So probably you can clean up the whole structure in one shot at that level.
I heard the market cap for all the preferreds is, I think, 13 billion. Let me do the math. So...
Or imagine if the MNAV goes back to 1.5. Not even 3.
If Bitcoin is 250K, he just need to sell 50,000 Bitcoin to clean all the preferred.
I think that's the smart strategy. Maybe they already thought about it, but we just need to wait until that happens. It's just a matter of time, and it will be cleaned instead of trying to do 1 billion now, 1 billion the next month in the middle of a bear market with all the FUD again. Just wait until we have tailwinds on a bull run and do it all in one shot. Obviously, the first time they will complain why sell Bitcoin. Then the next week they will forget, and in a couple of months, strategy will be the strongest company in the whole ecosystem. Ecosystem calling about Wall Street in general, because they will have also the most liquid reserves out of all the S&P.
Anyways, I think that during the next bull run, I'm not saying bull run. I'm saying Bitcoin going back to 85K, 90K. Stretch will be back to par, and they will be making a shitload of money with the ATM of Stretch to buy more Bitcoin, to pay dividends, or to pay whatever they want. So the thing is that we don't have to wait until Bitcoin is 250, 300K. When Bitcoin is back to 85, all the fun is gone because the strategy will be back over 150. Stretch will be back on pair and getting the hitting the ATM, buying more Bitcoin. So again, this was a fad, especially because of Bitcoin went down, Bitcoin price going down. Then you have the MSTR repurchase program, and again, like 1 billion to repurchase the stock in case of the. This is. I'm not reading if they have a connection, a rule for repurchasing stock.
Yeah, there is a cap of 1 billion, I think.
Yeah, but when are they going to execute that?
Anytime. They think is accretive for shareholders or useful for the company.
Yeah, and then they have
they learned the lesson. They didn't say anymore when this happened 1.0 then we do this, because it will be giving too much information on transparency on the potential sharks from Wall Street outside. So I think it was very smart to say when deemed appropriate, when the management think it's necessary or it's undervalued. So you just as an external, long or short, you know that now the company has arbitrary capacity to do whatever they deem appropriate. So they remove this 1 mNAV to 1.5, below 1, higher than 2, because it was too clear to give signal to the external sharks. And now they say, for me, if it's 1.22 mNAV, higher than that, it's accretive to buy MSTR. Technically, if it's below, it's accretive to sell Bitcoin and buy back MSTR. They are not doing it because they don't want to create kind of even more panic around the Bitcoin community. But in my view, if it goes below 1, probably they will, because again, it will be much more accretive for the shareholder in general. But I like this framing that is very, very not clear, because they understood the lesson.
Yeah, I think that being too transparent for strategy was like un tiro en el pie.
A double-edged sword.
Yeah, a double-edged sword.
Yes.
Because again, he's so transparent that the haters pick up all the information and they use it to spread misinformation. And the last topic is the BTC monetization program. The board of directors has authorized the BTC monetization program, under which the company might sell BTC from time to time for 3 primary purposes: generate up to 1.5 billion to fund the USD reserve, additional fund preferred stock dividends and interest expense, and to repurchases, securities, and all this stuff. Maybe this is the card, la carta.
This is the most pick-up point from the haters, because I saw so many videos about people talking. The headline was, strategy is going to start selling Bitcoin. That's the only thing they focus. Out of these 5 points, they pick up this one and they create videos. And I'm not talking about a small channel like ours. Yesterday, I was watching a guy with 5 million followers. That video had like 500,000 views. Headline was, strategy is selling Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Later in the video, he explained the whole thing. But what remains on the normie audience, on the not so well educated audience, is strategy selling Bitcoin. So that's why we have to be so careful about educating people on the whole aspect, with the transparency and with being objective in that these are the whole points. Yeah, and we think all of them are good for strategy. But if there were some points that we don't think should be good, we would say it anyways. I mean, we are not holding things. If that's things that we believe could be done better or differently, or is not good for shareholders, we would say it anyways. But it's an unfair battle, because there are a lot of influencers with bigger marketing that can push the narrative so easily against the truth.
Like Danny.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's going back to the meme, fuck around and find out. So again, if those people are creating this kind of false information just to get traction, just to get engagement, just to take some hundreds of dollars from Twitter or from YouTube, yeah, maybe today it's working in their favor, but in the long term, again, if people are smart, if their audience is smart, they understand that they just mislead them, or this was a very superficial analysis. So again, it's important for everybody to go back to the sources, study, see different people, see different, set of information, do your own research, use your own brain, because again, internet and the X today, it's we are in a civil war on Bitcoin, so you need to be very careful which people to follow, which information to read.
There are many civil wars in the same at the same time. But my final point on all this, I think that Saylor showed to the markets at the end of the day is where the money is, and where the money is gonna come to the company to buy more Bitcoin, is that he's gonna do whatever it takes to in the best for the shareholders and for the owners of digital credit. So that's, I think, is the message, and I think that the market took that message and said, okay, we are gonna go. He's showing that they have a lot of different instruments to get the best for the shareholders. He doesn't have to please, even selling Bitcoin, he doesn't have to please a group of Bitcoiners that only care of Bitcoin in self-custody. And even though they are going to criticize Saylor, no matter what he do. So he say, okay, I'm pointing to these people who doesn't give a crap about Bitcoin, and I want their money. What to what? To buy Bitcoin. So I have to give them something that I'm not going to buy Bitcoin and not sell anymore, and I will be able to move the ship in the middle of a storm. So that's my take on what Saylor is doing. He's not behaving like a crazy Bitcoiner. He's behaving like a CEO of a public company that needs to attract money from these 300 trillion US dollar that are allocated in bonds to his company to buy Bitcoin. And at the end of the day, everything is going to be good for the people who don't like Bitcoin, for us that we are Bitcoiners and we support the Bitcoin treasury companies, and the haters who are in their caves using their cold card wallet, teaching others how to use the cold card wallet and having Bitcoin in self-custody. Also, it's going to be good for Peter Schiff. But anyways, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I think this program is very, very positive for the company. And that's why I think also the market, I think strategy bottom at 82, Bitcoin bottom at 59, 58, whatever. I think we've been pretty consistent in saying this since February. I think it's very positive for the next outlook for the next 6 to 12 months for the company. And again, now strategy can simply do nothing, wait that Bitcoin start to recover some strength, and then be back fully operational if they want. So they have so much optionality that it's crazy. Majority of other companies don't have this optionality. And again, for all the haters, you can not buy. You can decide to avoid the strategy. You can decide not to buy Stretch. You can decide not to buy SATA. You can decide to do whatever you want. But again, being enraged because someone bought too much Bitcoin and that for this reason Bitcoin is collapsing or is a systemic risk for Bitcoin, it's I don't know. It's a silly argument.
Yeah, we'll see. But I guess the narrative will continue in that everything it's pick up against. From a bunch of resolutions, they will keep picking up that little thing. So that's when I say we need to push the brakes on transparency a little bit and start hiding some of our information. I mean, if I would be in a strategy board, just try to hide. You already been so much transparent that now just keeping for yourself some of the information will 100%. Be beneficial.
Yeah, totally Totally agree on that. And at the end, all of this, we are going to forget when Bitcoin is back to the price that has to be. When Bitcoin is back to an all-time high, that I still say that it's going to be this year, all of this FUD is going to dissipate forever.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
So what else do we have? Well, by the way, I want to announce that MetaPlanet came back to action. They bought around 2,800 Bitcoin, and now they are 515 Bitcoin away to the second place on the Bitcoin Treasury companies ranking. That is good. I would like them to buy more so they surpass Shaq Muller's 21.
It was a shame that they get to only 500 Bitcoins to surpass the very passive 21 company.
Is it passive? I don't know. I think they had so many good instruments on the market, financial products. They're working for more than 1 year in developing a real product, because strategy, apparently, they're not doing anything. So
they bought zero Bitcoin. Zero. Yeah. The only thing that Shaq Muller did was hate Sailor. Spreading FUD and bullshit on Sailor. So that's the thing. Well, so do you want to...
Yeah.
You wanted to talk about other thing that for me is not... For me and Diego is not so important, but if you want to bring it to the table, we can discuss about that.
No, I agree with you that also for me it's not very important. The BIP 110 and
the BIP 110. Yeah, let's feed the crowds.
Yeah, let's feed the crowd. For me, it's stupid discussing about that. You know, the other day a guy sent me a message. I'm still searching. The point is that why I want to host the debate, because it's gonna have a lot of traction on YouTube from these kind of nerds that probably they come to our channel and they end up learning. But yeah, I received a message of a guy who wants me to host a debate between one of these BIP 110 against the other, but I didn't find yet. I haven't found yet. So
yeah, I mean, it's just another topic that all the spam debate is probably as old as Bitcoin. Maybe it started in 2012. Now there is another round starting 2025, and I think in August 2026 there will be the BIP 110 activation. As of today, probably less than 0.5% of node runner are using BIP 110, so it's literally like not very relevant. But I think it was another kind of small civil war inside Bitcoin. So I just wanted to write a small article on that. I'm not an expert on that side, but from my understanding, again, it's the basic idea is that with the last release of Bitcoin Core B30, they kind of incentivize spam and they kind of incentivize the arbitrary data inside of the blockchain. BIP 110 is very much more strict on that side, and they just want to have only monetary transaction, which I kind of align. But again, if you see how Bitcoin is designed, how Bitcoin works, the fee are already there to prevent the spam. As long as there is the fee mechanism that if the blockchain becomes congestionated, the fee will be much higher. And if you want to spam the blockchain with stupid JPEG or stupid data like the ordinals, etc., you might be able to do it for a while, but then you run out of Satoshi because, again, it's literally not a relevant stuff. And so, again, they will disappear again like the previous time. So as we see with ordinals, we saw the spike, and after a couple of weeks, back to zero. Blockchain is not congested, and everything is working as normal. So I think it's another really not relevant issue. But again, on X, it starts to become kind of the two camp. They want to divide us. There is this kind of two camps. I think the BIP 110 won't be a very successful activation. It will, diminish over time after August. But I think the public debate about Bitcoin Core not to be a tyrannical, centralized authority, I think it's a topic that we as Bitcoiner, we should address. we should not delegate everything only to one group of people, because today this group of people might be the best mind, but in the future not necessarily. So I would incentivize people to think about this framework, and maybe to, if you can, to support open other maybe other developer other open source developers, because again, having only one maintainer, only one group of people might be over the long term potentially a vector of attack. That's my whole take. I think BIP 110 will disappear. No hard fork, no kind of massive problem for Bitcoin. But I think we should think also about this topic of not centralizing to only 50, 100 person the future of the most important technology that we have.
Yeah, a couple of points. One is, as you mentioned before, the self-regulating mechanism is the fees itself.
Yeah.
And it's already embedded in the design of Bitcoin. So what these people's opinion is that Satoshi design is not good enough, let's improve it, which in some cases might have been true, especially at the beginning. But nowadays, my position is that with the BIP 110, without it, Bitcoin will be doing TikTok next block. And the rest of the complications, if the spam on the network or not, will be fixed automatically by the free market. Right? Eventually, this ordinance will become totally unpopular, unnecessary, expensive, and it will vanish automatically without you needing to impose any regulation on the network. So it's more of this socialist control idea that you need to be all the time adjusting things. My solution is let it be, let it break if it breaks. So far, it didn't break, which means something Satoshi must have thought already is good enough. Eventually, at some point, maybe there is some real threat to Bitcoin that needs to be analyzed or debated, but it's not this one. This is just such a tiny bullshit that just serve for a group of core developers that their only value to Bitcoin is to be the developers of Bitcoin. Now you are invited to a conference. Congratulations. You have a seat on the discussion of Bitcoin. You look like an important person, but you contribute fucking bullshit. So let it be. I mean, I'm also in favor that don't put bullshit on Bitcoin, but on the other hand, just let it be. Let them crash themselves against the ordinance or whatever other spam they want to put. And for the people who try to control this, also go find another job. Go stack more sats. Why you need to constantly be on the front line of the core developer team who are so important? Just let it be. So the final point I want to make is there is a way, way bigger discussion because there are different camps in Bitcoin. But the important camps are not the 110 BIP or the non-110 BIP. The important camp is those who believe that Bitcoin will become the backbone of the financial system, and in so the fair goal for Bitcoin will be go and capture Wall Street, financial markets, eventually governments. And the other camp who think that Bitcoin is just for buying a burger somewhere in a cave in Finland without Wi-Fi. This is a real discussion because one leads to Bitcoin dying and the other one leads to Bitcoin actually winning. So my point is, let's focus on that.
Yeah, I that's when someone asks me which, and the funny thing is all these people that is inside this world, especially the BIP 110, they are asking everyone, which is your take? I want to learn what is. Let me check in Spanish because they did the same with Robin Sayer. Last week I hosted a stream with Robin Sayer because it was the match between Argentina and Austria, and people were asking him, what is your take on BIP 110? And the guy asked me, it's so funny because he said, okay, I would want to ask you, what is your opinion? And I say, oh, I like BIP 110, but this is not what takes my sleep. Again, with Diego, we detected that, and we saw on the last month that there is a group of Bitcoiners that are probably the highest voices on Bitcoin, that they don't want Bitcoin to win, starting from Jack Mollers. He's the leader of this cult. That's why they attack the treasury companies, they attack Sailor, and they want Sailor to fail. So for us to Bitcoin to win, for Bitcoin to win, it needs to take over Wall Street. And we need institutional capital. We need Bitcoin treasury companies. This is the best way. We need digital credit to capture these 300 trillion US dollars that are in these useless bonds, because it's the only way that humanity has hope. But the other side, they want to, okay, oh, so happy. I went to buy a burger and I pay with Bitcoin. How does it change the financial frame, the financial ecosystem, the financial markets to pay with Bitcoin a burger? Of course, I love paying.
Yeah, that's
with
the point.
Bitcoin.
But why not trying to have the both scenario and both of them work together? I don't understand why I need to decide one camp. I don't understand why there is this Danny and Jack Mallers kind of side, and then you have another kind of side of Sailor and the treasury company. Why is that? Bitcoin is a neutral, open technology. We should be more smart to think that all the application of Bitcoin is positive. From the guys in, as you said, Diego, from the cave in Finland that want to pay the burger via SMS and without Wi-Fi, to Sailor that want to engineer his own company and deliver digital credit on Bitcoin. I love both of them more or less on the same level. And we need more application, with more stuff, not one camp versus another and to create this internal fight. It makes no sense. Stop doing internal fight. We need to unite again against the other system. That's the whole point. They want to create internal fights within us, whereas we need to unite back and fight against the traditional system. That's
you're 100% right, Marco. That's a great message to close this thread.
Totally agree on that. So, but yes, again, I think that there is a big ego in the community, people who likes the flashes and be on the conference and be the stars, even though they say, no, I'm not a professional podcaster. So, but they like the attention. And when someone steals their attention, we need to attack him. So again, I'm with Sailor, and that's why we give our time for the people to understand what are these companies and why they are really, really important for the success of Bitcoin. So that's why we ask you a little collaboration, subscribe to our channel, follow us on social media, because doing so we can get more people and give the message to more people that there is another narrative. It's not, Bitcoin is not for nerds who wants to be in a cave in Finland and transfer using cold card without internet. So because with this narrative, we reduce the users of Bitcoin to 1% of the population. And we need Bitcoin to get exposure. The 100% of the world population must get exposed to Bitcoin. So that's the way. So Marco, I think that we don't have anything else to discuss. We can call a day.
Yeah.
And for our audience, what is your social media so they can follow you?
Yeah, on X at Batistoshi93. And again, if you want to learn a bit more about this topic that we closed the episode about, the spam filtering debate, etc., I wrote an article. The outcome is more or less what we said. That is probably will end to nothing. BIP 110 probably will disappear. No hard fork, no panic, please, on the Bitcoin side. Bitcoin is fine. The original chain is the one that started Satoshi on Genesis block. All other fork in the future will be shitcoins. And again, let's unite on Bitcoin. Don't fall for one camp against the other. The camp is Bitcoin, and the other camp is the traditional finance and fiat. So fight the fight on the orange side and not on the other one, please.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for your time. If you like the episode, give us a like, subscribe to our channel, follow us on social media, follow Marco on social media, because doing so, you help us a lot on painting the world orange. See you the next week. Stay humble, stack sats, and remember, we are all Satoshi.